Yo, yo, yo. Welcome to episode 27 of Wings, Beers, and Tears, your DMV weekly sports podcast. This week, as usual, we have a ton to talk about, and I'm very, very excited this week. We have a good variety of topics we're going to hit on. We're going to set the table here with the boys and see how they're doing on a cold fucking Thursday night in November. God, it feels like January and we're in like the Arctic right now. Jerry, how are you, sir?
I'm doing great. I have to lead off the show with these great stats. In the last 5 games, I just want to point out that Chandler Stevenson has no goals, no assists, no points, and no shots. Way to go, Chandler.
He did ring the post the other night against Arizona, which is why it doesn't register as a shot. It was a golden opportunity. I'm going to defend him a little bit.
Last 5 games, I just want to say that. So it's almost like he doesn't exist.
We're starting off the show with a great nugget. I love it.
Almost like he doesn't exist.
It's going to be lively this evening, ladies and gentlemen. And the third member of our crew is Jeremy. How are you?
Good to see you, boys.
No stats from you, Jeremy, off the bat?
No.
Best color guy in the world, boys and girls. And I am Todd. And please download our podcast. Listen to us on Apple, iTunes, on Google Play, Spotify, wherever you find your favorite shows. Give us a listen. We'll hopefully give you an hour of relief from your otherwise stressful day. I know we enjoy doing this as probably as much as you guys enjoy listening to it.
And our listeners don't want stats.
No,
they want bullshit.
Stats schmats.
They just want me to be funny.
They want Jerry
Exactly.
to talk about Crosby's penis.
Exactly. So we're going to set the table tonight with our
Inside joke?
topics. We are going to hit off right off the bat here with our Caps talk. We're going to talk a little bit of NHL because there's some other news in the NHL across the league as it pertains to our division. So we'll hit on that a little bit. We're going to talk some Nats and Astros. We're going to talk a little post-season action. And possibly some little cheating gate a la the New England Patriots from a few years back. We're going to hit on the NFL, talk about how the Ravens continue to roll and the Skins continue to suck with no end in sight.
Just the wrong way.
Did you guys see my text the other night about why the Redskins just a great sign of dysfunction?
It was spot on.
Yes.
Spot on as usual.
Following Twitter that afternoon, there's about 10 tweets in a row. No representative. And then they're like, well, except they're going to send a representative.
Yeah.
God, they're
Unbelievable.
the worst.
Right, the minute Callahan says, no, we're not going down there, we have 3 quarterbacks, JP Finley twins out, Redskins will be at the workout.
Dude, you know that meme that goes around from the original Austin Powers where he's in the narrow corridor and he's trying to back up the little thing? Yeah. He does like an 80-point turn and doesn't go around. That is the Redskins on a daily basis. They get the little car in the tunnel every day and they have no idea what the fuck to do.
They're 2 separate organizations, right? They have one side of the building that does one thing and one side of the building does the other thing, and they don't talk to each other.
They do
Correct.
not. So we're gonna touch on the on the Skins and on the Ravens and the rest of the NFL a little bit. We're gonna wrap up our talk today with our some college football because it is now championship season is upon us. It's getting very close. Big rivalry games down the stretch, big conference championship games, and the rollout of the first board, as it were, with the top 4 as we approach the college football playoffs. We got a lot of shit to talk to. Oh, and last but not least, our Terps. We're going to get an insider story here from Mr. Jerry about his game the other night.
He didn't turn the game off for like.
I know. Being at the game means he
or...
can't just turn it off.
Yeah.
My girls didn't cheer for one basket or one good play.
The fuck is wrong with them?
They were on their phones going, this is so boring.
Great. That's exactly what I wanted to hear.
Except my youngest, Peyton, she was like, so why do they play more players on the other team than we have? I was like, no, it's 5-on-5. No, it's not. So I had to convince her for 3 minutes of the game that there's actually 5 players on each team.
If Jeremy was there, he would have been like, yeah, they're playing more. They have the guys in stripes, too.
Yes.
Yeah, he would.
5 all
Fucking
day long.
furlat.
All right, so let's hit it off with our Caps talk, man. Last we talked, we were lauding them for a great October and how they just continued to roll. And here a week later, it's pretty much same song and dance. They sit 32 points in the Metro Division.
I don't like it, man. It's President's Trophy. Gotta
you
get
motherfucker! This is the guy who was like, "We better go 14-0 in October."
Yeah, but now we let them catch back up.
Okay, EB, they need to have like a 3-game losing streak.
Seriously,
when they won the cup, that all went out the window.
I do prefer a season that is filled with a little ups and downs, and I think it builds character, and I think it really adds to the flavor of what the team looks like in the playoffs. But when you're playing really good hockey like they are, They're relatively healthy. They're starting to get contributions from some guys that have been struggling, so lesser name, players. I like the way they're doing it, But I'm with you. Part of me is so fearful of that early peak or those big gaudy numbers that get you the President's Trophy because they do nothing.
They do
see
nothing.
Tampa last year,
Nothing.
see the Caps all the way back to 2010 and many other times since then. I mean, when was the last time a President's Trophy winning team won the Cup?
Yeah, it doesn't happen often.
It doesn't happen often at all.
The Blackhawks teams or something like that.
Sure.
But Caps weren't that good in the regular season last year. Got booted in the first round. So they're independent things.
I mean,
They
I guess on the grand scheme of things, you'd rather be good than bad. Right, have success,
especially with somebody with your fandom. I mean, if you're going to tune in on a Wednesday night, you're like, God damn it, you guys better win.
So we were watching the who was it before the last game before Philly?
The Coyotes.
Yeah,
the Yotes.
that fucking team is awful to watch. But the Caps, I mean, Kuzi was all over the ice. I mean, he was unstoppable,
Oh, he's
and
amazing.
they were so unlucky. I mean,
Yes,
they must
yes.
have had. It seemed like every shot was going in and then it ricocheted off.
Yep.
But so I was watching on my phone, of course,
Mm-hmm.
and then it was 3-1, and I was like, so I was watching it. We were watching Jack Ryan, and then Holly and I watched overtime when they scored.
Did you
And
turn it off? You're like, sweet.
Yeah, I was cheered around. That was
Right.
it. And then I turn it back, and I just see the coach looking at the thing, and I'm like, oh fuck.
Yep.
You
Yep.
know? And once you see him looking and nobody's moving.
No, it was legit. I mean, as they
Yeah,
were
it
showing
was
it, it was like,
offsides.
oh,
Yeah.
yeah. It wasn't by a little
Barely.
bit. Nah,
Yeah.
I thought it was pretty obvious.
No, I mean, but it was close. I mean, you
Oh,
can't
yeah.
fault anybody. It was just one of those things.
No, and that's one of those in real time because the one view that they had that was at ice level, the defender was in between. Was it Eller bringing it in?
Yes.
Yeah. So he
On
was
his
in between
stomach.
Eller and Oshie. So his view is skewed right there.
Right.
Absolutely don't fault them for it.
Right.
But that is why replay does exist because that was an egregious offside. He was off by a good bit when you saw the overhead. I'm fine with that.
Oh yeah, I'm not complaining. I mean, it's just I was cheering and then
Right. I know it's such a letdown.
Yeah.
But I'm glad you brought up the unlucky point because that was one of those games. How many times does that happen? And we said this before, league wide, but definitely to the Caps. They're down 3-0 early in the second, and I actually wasn't that worried because I was like, we're playing fine.
Right.
Like, we had one defensive breakdown. That was Oshie's giveaway on the second goal was just fucking terrible. That was Pee-wee-esque. And they got kind of a lucky goal in the first. I thought we were extremely unlucky not to score, and you knew we were going to come back.
here is what I love about the Capitals. When they go down, 95% of the time, it's because of something they have done or not done. It's not that the other team is just simply better. You step on the ice and you're like, holy shit, this is a whole different ball game. This team's just clearly better. It's usually they're not focused, right? And they're not really motivated and they're moving their feet and for whatever reason. And they get down early, 1 or 2 goals, and then but they're always good enough to tie it up, to come back, and they don't give up.
They don't.
And
no, they work hard. For a team as skilled as they are, they actually work really hard.
So that's good. So I think when they are motivated and they are coming out with some fire, and I think they'll get that when they play the Bostons and the Pittsburghs. And,
I think so too.
and Carolina,
Sure.
and the Islanders.
You know what they brought it a little bit
legit good
They,
again.
they brought it a little bit last night in Philly. I thought the Caps played really spirited
was
hockey.
amazing.
He was, but I was not worried in that game. I don't think Philly had shit in that game, especially through 2 periods. I thought we completely had the ice tilted to our advantage.
And I mean, the defense was almost just like, keep trying to bring it in. It just ain't going to happen.
Right.
Kempney has been, to me, unbelievable.
Dude,
Yes.
He's been really good.
And Jensen's been a little bit disappointing.
He has, but because he's been with Siegs, right?
Yeah,
and
Siegs.
that pair has been
And everybody's
solid.
on his jock. Everybody loves Siegs, man.
He's playing well.
Yeah.
But also Jensen's taking a lot of the pressure off of him too. Jensen's doing a lot of the dirty work that's not
Right.
real, not real, pretty to look at. And Carlson's taking all the pretty time right now.
You think about Jeremy, like I always think about the trade deadline of any sport, right? Like, and it's almost like if you're the Caps, if this continues, like
Right.
you don't have injuries or anything like that, but if these continues, you really operate on all facets. You have depth people, you have scoring, you have good defense, you have 2 good goalies.
Yeah.
There's really nothing to upgrade. That I'm not McClellan, and obviously, so I can't really tell. But to me, it doesn't seem like there's an obvious need to get another defenseman or get another third liner or whatever.
I mean, no, you bring up a good point. I mean, when you're when you're 14-2-3, there's not a whole lot you have to tinker with, obviously.
Right.
But the season is a grind. They are going to lose more man games to injury, and there will be significant guys that get hurt.
But as it looks, do you guys see any line or area that they could use an upgrade on?
No, I mean, you always can say depth. If you need more bottom six depth, you need, more third pair depth. Always that's there. But, like Todd's saying, that it's all going to be about health. I mean, if they lose anybody, I would say in the top 9 forwards or in the top 7D, you have to add something. Right. They don't have that Hershey depth for the playoffs. They have plenty of Hershey depth for the season. Playoffs are a different game, and so that's what you got to keep an eye on.
I mean, they're as good as I had hoped and better than I had expected.
Yeah, they're playing fairly complete hockey for regular season grind hockey, because it's hard to put together 3 really good periods.
Absolutely,
It's
man.
just not going to happen. But I like their work ethic. I think they're working hard, which tells me that Reardon is getting his message across and they're buying in. They're doing what he's asking them to do.
Good leadership.
Absolutely. I'm very pleased with that. As far as adding personnel, I think it will be less about what they add to improve their team, because I think they're very solid, and more, what is a seller out there? What are they throwing around? And if there's a legit top 4 or 5 D man that we never thought we would even be in the market for, but if they're like, hey, we really like that kid Vanacek, the second goalie prospect, we'll take your first Vanacek for, this guy who's on an expiring contract, and you slot him in, and that means Siegs is possibly your 7th D going into the playoffs. Well, that's a game changer. But we don't know what's available yet. Right. So I think it's less about what we're seeking and more about what somebody might dangle.
And to me, it doesn't seem like the NHL has many bad teams.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, you look at the standings right now. I mean, only what? 15 games in, 18 games in, but nobody's out of it. I mean, everybody's, a couple points behind the team in front of them. There's only about 2 teams you'd even call bad, I would say.
Shit, last year, January, worst team in the league, St. Louis, holding the cup, 9 months later. So,
well, to that end, I mean, I was expecting more from New Jersey.
Me too.
They just haven't looked like they are in sync, but Florida was a lot better than I thought they were.
So last night, I think it was last night, maybe the night before, I don't know. Nights are all fucked up. But Boston put a 3-spot up on Florida early, and George's like, damn, dude, Boston's rolling them. Next morning, pop up, 5-4 Florida in shootout. I was like, damn. I mean, these games are, we've said it, it's not the old, 2 leads, the worst lead in hockey.
It's 3 now.
Yeah, it's 3 now. And if you're down 4 and it's early enough in the game, you're not out of it. Teams can score.
You know, the douchebag Hurricanes, they sent out did you see those tweets? They sent out tweets to every team in the league except for the Caps, wishing them or saying how great they are to be every team except for the Caps. Even the fucking Penguins. What the fuck those guys, man?
Whatever. They're having fun. They're having a good time. Fuck them. I still wouldn't want to meet Brindamore in an alley. That guy's big, bad, and nasty, man.
Yeah, Rick Tocchet looks like an assassin for the KGB assassin.
Love Tocchet. How great was Tocchet after the Caps Coyotes game? They're like, hey, you got to win on the road. And he's like, yeah. He's like, we blew another lead. And they were like, so what do you think about the Caps? He's like, oh, my God, those guys are so good. He goes, did you guys see Kuzi tonight? He was like, hey, best player in the league right now. He's like, when he's on,
when he wants to play. That's what Alan May has always said.
Hey, man. Well, we hoped, right? We were saying it when he was coming back off of the suspension, and we said we hope he kind of takes his medicine, pardon the pun, the right way, and comes out and shows us on the ice that he is dialed in, and he's engaged, and he's ready to roll. He certainly looks like it right now. There's
another reason why Alan May is my favorite announcer, other than Jay Billis, who should be president, but that digress. They were talking about on the Caps pregame show, him and Locker, about the expansion and where the next team should go. And Locker was like, they should have 2 teams in Toronto. And May goes, why? So both teams can be overrated and suck. It was great.
Well, I follow a lot of Toronto people on Twitter, and obviously it's the mecca of hockey. So, I mean, almost everything gets filtered through there.
Right.
It's almost like, being a Yankees, organization here in the States. Like, everything goes through it. Everything's blown up. They have not been good for so long now. It boggles my mind thinking back to how long it's been, not only championship days, but, consistently, threatening playoff teams. I mean, it's been a long, long time.
Well, I mean, it's hard to get. I mean, the good old Canadian boys, which obviously there are plenty of, and they're the best players in the world, will play in Toronto. But it takes a special breed. It's like playing in New York for baseball or even
Right.
for football. The scrutiny. I mean,
Yeah.
I think
It's not for everybody.
I'm not sure if it was May. It was one of our guys that said something. I was like, well, if Ovi had played there, he would have gotten traded. They would have run him out of town.
Yep.
Because he wasn't good enough, fast enough in terms of winning.
Is it harder to play there or Montreal?
Oh, I think Toronto for sure.
It depends on the player too. I mean, if you are a French Canadian, sometimes it is brutal because they pick on you even more. Yes, you speak the language, but it's just like they're like they expect even more out of you. I mean, it's the same. It really is almost the same in Toronto, but I would say Toronto's it's magnified.
Yeah, I just think the fishbowl in Toronto is bigger. I think the scrutiny is probably
Both
the same.
rough, but
just the exposure
magnified.
in Toronto is just so massive. So speaking of other teams and league wide, one of our arch nemesis, the old Pittsburgh Penguins, got dealt a blow. When the season started, they were without Malkin for a
That's
few
what
weeks.
she said.
And they treaded water. That was the term I used in our little text pre-show convo. And now Crosby's going to be out for quite some time. Sports hernia surgery,
6 weeks minimum.
6 weeks minimum, and that can be.
Malkin's not back yet either. Or is he
Malkin is
He's
back.
Okay.
Yeah,
But he'll be out in 10 days.
He could be. He is not
I mean,
proven to be the most reliable.
In the past 3 years, he's been out almost every
In and
year
out of the lineup.
for significant periods of time.
Absolutely. So those two guys can carry them in a stretch as needed. I mean, Malkin has put that team on his back many times in the past, and Sid has done it over and over and over again. I have utmost respect for them on the ice in terms of being able to handle the pressure. But this is a big blow. I mean, they have a pretty decent team, though. I mean, they're not bad.
No, they're not. They haven't fallen off like I was hoping they were.
I had the same thought. I really thought they might be a little bit more irrelevant, but they're solid, man. You know? And again, kudos to Sullivan. I don't like the guy. I think he's a complete prick.
He's an
but
asshole.
but he gets them to buy in.
Their general manager is one of the worst people on earth. Rutherford.
Rutherford is a scumbag.
I hate that guy, man. He just seems like such an asshole.
So here's kind of like a little roundabout using your logic from before. Rutherford is like a go get him right now type of guy. Sullivan is a son of a bitch. He wants to win. Sid and Gino aren't getting any younger. Letang's not getting any younger. What if they're just on the precipice of like that playoff? Could they make a run? What if they do one of those just epically bad trades and take on some awful?
They might, but they're so cash strapped already.
Yeah.
That's why they're in this position. They have no room, like the Caps. But the Caps have better depth and better player. They have spent more wisely.
No question. Yep.
I mean, when they did Jack Johnson, that deal, I mean, I remember texting you guys because I went on the Pittsburgh websites and they were like, what are they doing?
Yeah. When their own turn on them, know it's a bad deal.
Like, that's a terrible deal.
Yeah. Well, the Caps just you were saying they're not quite as strapped, or they have a better talent. I think they've done a better job spreading things out. You got like your Vrana coming up. You got Kuzi. You've got this. You need more than two guys. You need 4 or 5 stars to make a team in the NHL. What NBA's 2 or 3. Hockey, you need enough guys almost for 2 lines. Like Avalanche are on the way there too.
Yeah.
But Pittsburgh really didn't do that. They were kind of all the eggs in one. Pittsburgh, L.A. and I guess Chicago were the 3 that really went for it. Now, obviously, they all got their cups. And
they did
multiple cups.
So good for them, man.
Now they're getting to the point where it could be 5 or 10 years of bleh, and hope I don't think we're going to see that with the Caps, it's nice.
No, it is nice, and yet again, we are just so spoiled to be in this era of Ovechkin and to be able to witness it firsthand and to be on the Ovechkin bandwagon as it started and as it continues. And that guy is just ageless, and Did you see his shift in overtime last night?
Oh, yeah, 3 minutes.
Oh
he was dying.
I can't believe I thought he was just going to dump it. I really did.
The fact that he was still able to split those two guys and get to the net. That
Might have
guy's
scored
just,
if the puck didn't roll.
I know. He
And
is a
I thought
fucking bull.
And I thought they were going to. I mean, granted, he wasn't moving very much.
No, he wasn't.
On the day, he was just sort of leaned over. But I thought there was a penalty. I thought I just from the way it looked, I thought he got pulled down.
I thought he got hooked a little bit, but
or he may have just fallen because he couldn't breathe.
He was so tired.
Yeah, I mean, Backstrom's face was your color of red.
Oh yeah,
they were dying.
Yeah.
It's almost like just go out and punch somebody and take the penalty.
Yep.
No, that was great. No, but he continues to give us joy with his passion for the game, and still being at the top of his game is just such a joy to watch. So hey, I obviously want to see the Caps continue to play really good hockey. I said it, I think, on the last pod. I'm pretty sure they will hit a rough patch right around the holidays. I mean, Christmas, New Year's holidays. I think they're going to go through a stretch where they're like 4-4-2, and it's kind of weird, and they're not playing great. And somebody like the Islanders or the Flyers or somebody's going to pick up a lot of standing points on them. And
I think it'll be the Islanders.
I
they're
think so,
they're
too.
just so boring and solid and systematic, and
incredibly boring.
but they win. I mean, Trotz is the beast.
He knows what he's doing, and to make the analogy, you know what, Reardon. Reardon was on Trotz's staff, and Reardon has done it under different coaches. He knows how to win as well in the regular season. So that's going to be quite the battle, I think, with those two.
So they got Montreal tomorrow, then the Bruins on Saturday. That's going to be
what a great game that's going to be.
Game. And then they got Anaheim on Monday, the Rangers on Wednesday, and Vancouver on Saturday. So they got some spread out games and some winnable games.
For sure. So, hey, go Caps.
Go Caps. Keep
it
up.
rolling. And, obviously 14-2-3 is probably not sustainable for, a 19-game stretch. But
I want them to be 3-2 the next 5.
Yeah. Hey, continue. And on those losses, continue to get points where you can.
Oh, yeah.
Grind it out if you can. Figure it out. Just do what you got to do. Hey, cheers.
Does Mitch get Comcast?
Yeah, can we watch it at Mitch's on Saturday?
Dude, Marchand is going to be a fucking dick.
Oh,
I hope they
he's going to be.
He is.
He wakes up in the morning and he's just a giant,
but that's
giant
just,
pain in the ass.
I hope Gudis or Garnett or whatever the fuck his name, Garrett, I just wipes his ass with the. Oh, that'd be my dream.
I certainly hope they don't wipe his ass. I hope that they
wipe his fucking face with the.
Marchand to wipe his.
I want them to just plaster him against the board.
Yeah. If they wipe his ass, I probably wouldn't know what to do if I was watching it. But what's going on here?
Yeah, no, very awkward. Very awkward.
Yeah.
Speaking of awkward, and we
the Caps were tougher than this.
we touched on the Redskins a little bit, but as we logged on to do this podcast tonight, nothing is ever quiet over at Redskins Park. Apparently, Monte Nicholson is now in the news again, not in a good way. With
Hasn't been charged.
Possible legal things. It's very fresh. I mean, look, the NFL, it's basically like criminal. National Football League. Every team's got their thugs. Every team's got their guys that just can't stay on the straight and narrow. But boy, oh boy, Redskins Park continues to be a soap opera and just a spiral of shit.
Damn fine culture.
Damn fine shit culture. Speaking of wiping your ass, that fucking organization is just the worst. And what we should be doing as an organization after the pundits, after idiots like us have been, banging the drums here we are going into a week where they came off the bye. They're playing the Jets. They've declared Haskins as the starter, finally.
Good.
McLaurin's playing. Geis is back in the lineup. I mean, you would hope as a fan, because we are fans.
Maybe they'll score a touchdown.
You would hope there would be a look to the future.
It's been a month. Why not?
Just the slightest sliver of light that comes in with some positivity for the future. As I just discussed, 3 young, impactful players on the field. And all I can think about is somebody's going to get hurt because they're going to miss a block. Somebody else is going to be arrested, a la possibly Nicholson. Defense isn't going to be able to stop anybody. We can't run on the Jets. It is just, every time I think there's a sliver of hope, it just gets dashed in a heartbeat.
Well, I'm fairly optimistic for this week. I mean, I'd like to see
we'll lose by less than 20.
Well, I'd like to see what Haskins can do. I mean, if he throws for over 200 yards with 1 touchdown, 1 interception, or something like that, plays competent, doesn't turn the ball over other than the maybe 1 time. That's a success. McLaurin gets up. I think if guys can get some good carries without any run, I mean, you don't want to win the game because you actually want to get the high draft pick. And I know that I mean, you never try to lose the game. So if they won the game, that'd be great for them. And I'm not telling them to lose on purpose, but if you lose, okay, what you really want to see is an offensive performance that gives you hope. And every week Haskins is getting more comfortable. Now you're going to have weeks where he's terrible, right? There's going to be at least three Sundays where he just looks dreadful. But for the most part, you hope that, I would rather have him throw for 200 yards and not have any touchdowns or any interceptions. than Daniel Jones throwing for 300 yards and having 3 turnovers and 1 touchdown. I mean, that to me, I think that shows more maturity.
Well, can we get more than 45 offensive plays a game?
Oh, man.
I want to say they're averaging 45 or 46 since Callahan
this is
took
the way
over.
it's going to be.
Yeah.
This
It
is
is.
the way it's going to be on purpose.
Yeah. Lowest in the league, other than the Redskins in the last month, 56 plays. And they're averaging 46.
Oh, my
I mean, how are you going to even get Haskins in? He's playing like a half a week, even when they're playing a full game.
Bill Callahan is trying to get it to the fourth quarter with a chance to win.
Yep.
That's it. So he's going to run the ball and punt. That's what he's going to do, because if you don't turn the ball over, history shows you that unless you're playing like, Tom Brady or some high,
So
high
18
octane.
carries for Geis, 12 carries for Peterson, 15 passes for Haskins, and then we all fall asleep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, and hopefully you're in striking distance in the fourth where you can actually maybe try to win the game.
Right. I
mean, that's
but
how
I'm
you're
with
gonna
you.
do it.
So Miami's done us a favor, 2 favors, by actually winning a couple games.
Yeah. The Jets.
The Jets.
Now we just need Cincinnati to win.
I know. I don't know that they're going to, though. They might be worse than the Redskins. They're really bad.
They are bad.
They're really
they're
bad.
terrible.
But what is more boring? 46 offensive plays or Callahan's press conferences? And nothing against him. He is so dry. He's such a professional. Holy shit,
Why
is everything
the fuck
generic.
does he talk so much? Jesus Christ.
He doesn't stop talking.
Yeah, answer the fucking question and shut your mouth.
He is the king of answering the question by repeating the question in just a few different words. They asked him today, is so-and-so hurt? Oh, that guy? Yeah, he hurt. Yes, I think, he injured his leg at some point, and so he is technically hurt. I was like, what the fuck does that mean? He's either hurt or he's not,
Chris Thompson may be alive. We're not sure.
Colt McCoy.
I mean, it is time, guys. It is time to cut bait with all the named players.
It is.
Chris Thompson's got to go.
Yep.
Jordan Reed's got to go.
Bye.
Vernon's got to go.
Bye.
It's just time to cut ties with everybody who's been around.
Could not agree more.
And even if you owe it to them as much as yourself.
Without
they're
question.
not playing.
Right.
So you got to go and you got to get younger.
And I'm telling you right now, a guy like Chris Thompson, who's small, he's on the small side, he's been frail his whole career, he will go somewhere and be a third down back and play fucking 16 games for somebody else. Couldn't do it here. He will somewhere else.
Kerrigan's got 2 sacks, man. He's got to go.
He's got to go.
It's time to let these guys go, get some cap space.
Could not agree
Fill
more.
them in with younger guys, man.
Yep. So, a full 180, boring, dysfunctional, loathsome. That's the Redskins. On the other side, up 495 or up 95, you've got Lamar Jackson absolutely, looked like a video game character again last week. And the Ravens just rolling right now. And hey, man, we talked about their offensive, being a possible juggernaut. And man, it's showing it. And they've shown it against some really good teams in both wins and losses. And they're rolling right now, man. They look super, super dangerous.
And your geeky nugget for the week on them is, being a college football guy, I thought it was kind of cool. They had 3 Heisman Trophy winners in the same backfield at one point.
Loved it.
That was interesting.
So cool.
I don't think I've ever seen
How
that
cool
before.
is that?
Yeah, that was it was Ingram, Jackson, and
RG3.
RG3. Your boy Jerry, RG3 in the backfield.
Didn't
man.
even fake an injury.
Yeah. I'm going to be honest with you, and I know this is sacrilege. It probably takes us down a rabbit hole. Colin Kaepernick would be perfect to be a backup at the Ravens because I personally think he's overrated. And
I don't think that's a rabbit hole. I think it's a reasonable discussion to have.
well, I think this is my take on Colin Kaepernick. I mean, I'm pro police, and I'm pro flag, and I don't like anybody kneeling. But personally for me, these guys provide entertainment. I don't care about them, so therefore I don't care really what they do or what they stand for or whatnot. But I think Colin Kaepernick knew that his career was pretty much over. I mean, he was on the decline. It's not like he was, Dak Prescott or
Right.
somebody like that. He was a fringe player, and I think he made a conscious decision to get some money and get some notoriety and get some fame.
Interesting.
And it worked.
It did.
I mean, he makes more money now than he ever would if he hadn't done it.
You know what? That's a real yes. If he was a nondescript backup somewhere,
Right.
he would not have the clout that he does.
And
Yeah,
here's the
that's a
catch
good
20.
point.
Here's the catch 22 though. By being so polarizing, he's not good enough to take a risk on, right?
Correct.
If he was Dak Prescott, not that Dak Prescott would do it, or Tom Brady or Brendan Roethlisberger, whoever you want, Pat Mahomes, if he was that good, a team would take it and say, we're going to take our lumps with it, and, because he's going to perform on Sunday. But if you have a guy who's not very good, and he's just not very good, then it's not worth it. It's not worth the circus. It's not worth CNN. It's not worth all the hoopla that comes around, because they not only bother him, they bother all of his teammates, and they bother the coaches. And you have to just answer questions on it all the time, and it's just not worth it.
Yep.
Now, he is suited for the Ravens offense. And the coordinator in the Ravens was his coordinator in San Francisco.
Yes,
so
it
they
was.
know each other.
Yes, it was.
And the Harbaughs are traditionally a liberal family, and they welcome stuff like that. So the Ravens, I thought, would actually be a good fit.
I don't know if Biscotti is, though.
With the exception of they did this before, and Colin Kaepernick's girlfriend just let loose on Biscotti on on Twitter.
The food, not the owner, but yeah.
Yeah, Biscotti, Steve Biscotti.
Yeah. She unloaded on him, and I think that was sort of, and I think going back to Kaepernick, the NFL's given him a tryout, which this is unheard of. You never heard a veteran getting a combine-esque workout
on a Saturday, no less.
We're all for
such a
the
fucking
Saturday
charade.
or Tuesday. That doesn't,
such a fucking
that
charade.
But
doesn't even
Tuesday's
matter.
usually the day because people can actually show up.
I understand.
Saturday, I mean,
but it doesn't matter. Everybody can send a representative, and you can film it, and you can interview them, and you can hear all that. It doesn't matter what they're doing. But the NFL doesn't do this for anybody. I think they're tired of listening to all the crap from everybody saying, how come this guy has a job and Colin Kaepernick doesn't? How come this guy has a job? They're finally like saying, fine. Everybody can come watch you.
And I think the
forum.
answer to that rhetorical question, because the pundits on ESPN and all, Fox and everybody else still bring it up. Look at this guy playing, and Kaepernick doesn't have a job.
Well, they now know that you're calling their bluff, and he's going to come and he's going to suck, and nobody's going to want him. And at that point, you won't have anybody to blame.
Exactly. But you made the point in your analysis, which was completely spot on there, that he's just not good enough with the hoopla and the circus as his baggage. Bottom line.
He can only play for programs that have a specific kind of offense, and there are only a handful of those, if even a handful.
So the NFL gets a lot of bad press for the way they treat the players, and a lot of it is very justified, right? The lack of guaranteed contracts, the post-concussion, post-playing days, lack of attention to detail, funding, etc. Not good enough as far as a sports organization, that just prints money every day, right? But they do get it right with not allowing their stars to undermine the league. Look around the league. Look how many great players there are in their prime that go, fuck you, I'm out of here, and I'm going to catch on somewhere else, and then they don't. Most recently, Antonio Brown.
Right.
I mean, look at a guy like Brown, whose talent-wise is just off the fucking chart, and he's shown it over and over again. Nobody wants to touch him. They're like, dude, this guy's not fucking worth it, man.
And he's the perfect example in terms of where there's a catch-22, because a lot of his issues could be because of concussions that he's gotten playing.
That's a fair point.
And I don't know what you do about that. And just back to Kaepernick real quick, as I'm not going to go. I don't want to.
He
go
could
too
just
far.
be a douche, though.
Well,
Antonio Brown.
There's no question. I just feel like some of the behavior he exhibits, it's like he's not right. And if he got it, getting
he's not
football,
right. I mean, he's not right.
I mean, you see him 1 minute, playing with his kids. You couldn't seem like a more normal guy, and then you just hear the stuff in the media. You're like, he's not. He's destroying $80,000 worth of damage to an apartment, not paying people when he's got more money than It's just
what the fuck's he doing?
Yeah,
he's aware. He's weird.
Yeah, he is. Kaepernick. I wish him luck. I like the way he played. I think he did a good amount of stuff with not a lot of talent when he was on top. He went to the Super Bowl. All that stuff. He's not a complete nobody. But the one thing he came off as tone deaf with everything he's done, because you got to realize your audience. Everybody he was trying to, build up and support with his kneeling, most of them aren't your big-time NFL fans. Honestly, and not to bring too much race into it, it's a bunch of old white guys, and they don't want to put up with your shit. And that's most of the people he was offending. And when you're offending that many people, wrong or right, your message is not going to be heard as well as it should be.
It was the greatest marketing ploy in my opinion, I mean, he made so much money off of it.
Did he call the Nats and tell them to sit Scherzer in Game 5?
He definitely did. And what's surprising is that they listened.
I think. I don't think other than the Nike campaign and all of that, and all being the man of the year and all that stuff, which is somewhat ridiculous to me, but he doesn't seem overly political, though. I mean, he doesn't seem to take what he's done, and he doesn't seem to give to a lot of charities. He doesn't get out front. He's not very political.
I think Jeremy used a great term. He's tone deaf.
Yeah.
He fails to really understand the
platform. Because he's not wrong at all. Everything he was pushing is, the cops are doing bad stuff to people that don't deserve it. He's not wrong at all.
His inability to spin it in a way that he could use the platform that he had is just completely ignorant. And quite honestly, it shows he's probably really not that fucking smart. Everybody's like, oh, Kaepernick's this really intelligent guy and everything else. I actually don't think he's that fucking smart.
No. I mean, he's smart in the effect that he was going out of the league, and he makes double than what he would ever made playing in the league, even being good.
Cheers, man.
Because you know what you do? You kneel once or for a month or whatever it is, and then you say, okay.
And then you vote.
No,
and then you vote.
Then you just get out, you stop doing it, and you say, this is why I did it. I was trying to bring attention to this. Let's do all these different things. I've started these, charities, this, that, and the other, bring awareness. I'm working with police departments in every town and every NFL, all this kind of stuff. He could have done all of that off of what he did. Instead, he basically just went away.
Yep. Now, I think, for his personal gain, I guess congratulations is in order for making money. Good for you. You live in America. If you want to make money, you can. He completely missed the opportunity with his platform. He had basically a blank check, and he won the lottery. He went to the fucking Super Bowl, and he's not that good. And he could have parlayed that into, hey, I have an idea. Shut the fuck up. Play the game that pays you millions. And if you really have these causes that are important to you, use that local celebrity to make a difference in your local community. Make a fucking Epics series about it.
Right.
Get the NFL to send cameras and go, hey, guys, I'm going to do this behind the scenes, and we'll put it out 12 months later. Make a name for yourself that way. You want to kneel on the field? Get the fuck out of here.
He doesn't, but going back to Saturday, everybody it depends on what narrative you want, right? If you want to continue the narrative that he's being victimized by the NFL and everybody else, and people don't understand him, and if you don't agree, you're racist and all that stuff. If you want that narrative, then no matter what happens on Saturday, when he goes and he sucks and no one signs him for whatever reason, then you're still going to blame the NFL and I did on Saturday rather than Tuesday, and that fucking matters.
Or you waited 2.5 years instead of giving him a chance when he was still more capable. Blah, blah, blah.
And if you hate Colin Kaepernick and everything he stands for, I'm sort of in the middle. I don't care about him at all. But then when he doesn't get signed, you can then say, see, he's not good enough.
Mm-hmm.
But the NFL, I think they're tired of all the complaining, and they say, fine, we'll do something we've never done for another player.
That's right.
Well, we've never done this, because normally it's your agent saying, hey, my client's going to be over here at University of Maryland Stadium. We rented it out. Come work out. Mm-hmm. And then people show up. It's never the NFL doing it.
There could be more people at that workout than there are at a Maryland football game. Just saying.
Especially this Saturday.
But so the NFL, the people knocking the NFL, it just seems so hollow, because they're doing something for this guy. Now, I'm sure it's one, they just want to be done with him.
Yeah.
Two, they probably want to show him, shut your mouth.
They have their own.
Yeah, they have their own agenda.
Yep.
But they've never done this for anybody else. I don't care if it's on a Saturday or Tuesday.
You know what the best case scenario would be? Is if Saturday morning he pulls up lane. He's like, guys, I pulled a hammy.
Or he doesn't show up. Yeah. And Hugh Jackson's running it, right? So Hugh Jackson is going to run the thing. So he's obviously has some coaching experience. So he has a legitimate platform supplied by the league to do it.
It's such a sham. I think it's such a charade.
Right. So, but nobody's going to sign him.
Nobody's going to sign him.
Maybe it could lead to something next year.
Who fucking cares?
The guy's not any good.
You know what his upside is? A very low-level quarterback number 2 on your roster.
On a specific offensive scheme.
And that's how this whole thing started with the Baltimore offense, right?
Yes.
So getting back to the guys that are actually playing, Jackson, man, every week he looks better and better in the pocket, in my opinion. He is starting to discern when to use his legs and when he needs to get down or get rid of the ball or check down now, and he's doing it really quickly. Who's the quarterback coach slash like in charge of handling him and the quarterbacks over there in Baltimore?
I'm gonna throw out a name, but I'm not. Is it Kavanaugh?
Could be. Either
I'll
way,
research that.
he's doing a hell of a job because he is clearly being coached a specific way for this particular offense, and he is grasping the concepts and he's applying them. And that's really hard because this league is fast.
I'd only bet a nickel on it, but I think you're right, Jerry.
I think his trajectory right now, and Jerry, you said it when we did our preseason, reviews and kind of like, what to expect. And you said if he is dynamic, this team can be really, really good. And right now, he is dynamic.
What you just said is something I think I brought up before the season. That was kind of what I was expecting out of this offense. You isolate a zone, whatever you want to call it, where there's three options. We've had our read option. We've got our RPO. This is almost, I'm not going to say it's really a hybrid, but it's another version.
Yeah, it kind
it's
of
like,
is.
Hey, I'm rolling out. Now, I can run it. I can throw it short or I can throw it long. I think that's kind of the wrinkle is that there's, instead of having two options off of a play, you got three.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing is that with him too that I've sort of liked because I've been watching a little more the last couple of weeks. When he runs like a running back, I don't know how you really make the discern the running back versus quarterback, but I don't feel like he's going to hurt himself.
I know.
As soon as he runs like a quarterback, I get scared to death.
Yep, I
But when
completely
he runs
agree.
like a running back, it's like, wow, he's going to be okay.
And I think it was last week with his little, his little spin move
Right.
in that fantastic.
Oh, that was fucking.
Did you hear the Kevin Harlan
joystick.
call?
Yeah.
It's so great. He was like, "It's EA Sports out here." He's like, "He's a video game
Probably his
character."
pants off too.
So the
so
quarterback's coach for the Ravens is Jim Urban.
Okay.
Yeah, so
He's
I've
been
lost a
around for
nickel.
a while. Yeah.
Well, that guy's doing a hell of a job
Yeah.
because, again, they had a very narrow focus going into the season as to what they wanted him to accomplish with this offense, and they have coached him appropriately to get there. So kudos to them. I applaud you,
Good job,
Ravens
Ravens.
coaching
Well,
staff.
I mean, to me, you can't really judge anything off a Cincinnati win.
Oh, of
And
course not.
The next couple games, Houston this week.
That's a tough game.
That is a tough game.
That's a really tough game.
I had the schedule pulled up, and then
No, you're right. I mean, Cincinnati, they suck. But what do you do to a shitty team? You fucking demolish them. What did they do? Demolished them. It was the week before against New England that really, really impressed me. And going back a few weeks, and I said it on here, when they lost to KC, I said, can this be a positive? And I really think in the big scheme of things that was. Because they got behind, they made mistakes. He continued to run the offense the way they're asking him to, and they hung in that game until the very end.
the next four games are Houston, the Rams, the Niners, and then the Bills. So,
Dude, that's a tough stretch
That's a
right
tough
there.
stretch.
Hell yeah.
and here's the thing: the defense is not. The defense can't rush the passer, so that's problematic when you're playing against like really good quarterbacks. But they did pretty well against Brady.
They did.
But it's not like they are I don't think they're
No,
dominant.
Brady can't move. We talked about that week, and
But I think it's
It
going to
really
be.
gets
I think they're going to win 11 games. Like they're 7-2. I think they're going to they're going to win. They're going to be 4-3 or 4-4. Win 11 games. They'll be a tough out.
Okay.
I think they're because they do have a good organization who believes that they're going to win every game.
They do.
And they
Yeah.
prepare well, and they seem to like each other. They seem to have good leadership, and they're going to be prepared.
I agree.
So, I expect it wouldn't surprise me if they made the AFC Championship.
Hey, you know what? I really hope that they do because I like the way they play. I like that a lot of their I like that their systems are unconventional, and I'm not saying they're like being a hippie, like fuck it all, man. We're going against the grain. No. They're throwing wrinkles in because they have the personnel to do it,
Yeah, they
and I
fit-
love that. I absolutely love that.
Their freaking game plan pits their personnel. That's what good
Amazing,
coaches
right?
do. Yeah.
Fuck, Jesus.
You know what? You know what Bobby Huggins just said, and I was watching. I was watching
before
a.
after he threw up.
Yeah, he was probably drunk as shit, but it made a lot of sense. He said the hardest.
So he
thing,
was probably drunk as shit.
Love you,
the
love you.
hardest thing to do as a coach is to find out what a player does well and make him do it. Right? Because everybody, especially in basketball, but even in football, you get guys that don't really understand what their strengths are because they think they can do everything well. And then they want to do more than what they can do and ended up hurting the team.
I see what you mean.
So if you have a player who can rebound, you need him to rebound. And
Really
you need,
well.
You need
Yeah.
to teach him, this is my job. My job is not to shoot threes.
Right.
And so that is, Bobby said,
Interesting.
That's the hardest thing to teach a player. And when you get guys that collectively know that, that's when you have a good team. And that makes a lot of sense to me.
That makes a ton of sense.
And I think the Ravens do a good job of getting guys to believe in their scheme, to know their role, and not to do more than what their role says, not to try to freelance and do shit.
Sure.
And that makes them coachable. And they don't have a lot of talent on defense, not like the old days, but they are dynamic on offense. And when Lamar's playing and he's not turning the ball over, they can beat anybody.
I agree.
It encouraged me that Ingram seems to be finding some rhythm and being more involved.
He looks great right
Because
now.
at the beginning of the season, he wasn't as involved as I thought he would be.
No, he looks great. Well, hey, go Ravens. It's going to be, this is, this stretch run right here, you get to those Thanksgiving Day games and then on, and those are the difference-making games.
Who's playing Thanksgiving this year? Dallas. Who's playing?
Dallas,
Detroit.
Detroit.
A couple of them are pretty crappy games.
I think they're shitty.
Lineup. It's not a good slate.
No, but that's your benchmark week. From then on out, it's all about who is irrelevant, a la the Redskins,
right?
Who is a contender, a la the Ravens, and those 4 to 5 weeks after Thanksgiving really shape the playoff picture and what's going to happen. It's pretty exciting.
The only thing I can say about the Redskins, which is optimistic because I want the entire thing to be blown up and moved to London, is that they finally recognize now that there's no value in trying to win. You play your young guys.
Yes.
See what they can do.
Again, I just said Haskins, McLaurin, and Geis are going to be in the
play
game.
'em.
That's great.
Hey, you know what? I think they're fucking awful. I don't want to watch a minute. I'm interested to see those three.
I'd like to see. I'd like to see Haskins.
Give him
a full set of fucking weeks. And a game plan. If he breaks 200 yards, it'll be impressive. If he throws a touchdown, if he has
Bonus.
more,
Hell,
if he has some
it'll be his
more
first one.
touchdowns
Good for
than
him,
interceptions, it's a win.
I'm kind of with you what you said earlier. I would prefer to just see no picks and for him to do what the coaching staff is asking, even if they're neutering him and they're like, dude, we know you can do this stuff. Follow the game plan.
We're going to try
through
to score
your checks.
We're going to try to score 20 points a game, and you do a bunch of checkdowns.
That's exactly right. And if in the fourth quarter it's 17-17 and we get a turnover, do what we say, go down, kick the field goal,
And
get
we're
us a
done.
win.
Yeah.
Now, the fan in me says, don't get us a win, lose that game 40-3.
I think the Jets are. I think they're going to lose pretty much every game the rest of the year, even if they try.
I don't think they beat the Jets.
And then they get rid of Bruce Allen, and then they get rid of Callahan, and they get rid of all their veterans. You bring in and you start fucking fresh. And if you can duct tape Danny Boy on draft day and keep him out and bar him from the locker room, that's the only chance you got.
Hey, cheers. You know what? Let's come together and devise a plan for that. I like the way you're thinking. I don't know that we're physically capable of it, but
I got to pay my mortgage, so I can't kidnap anybody.
Fuck. All right, we'll hire somebody. God damn it. All right, so you brought up Bobby Huggins, and that was a really good point about getting players to do what they do well and really excel at it. So here you were last Saturday night at our beloved Maryland Terps game against Rhode Island. Let's set the scene.
Were you sitting next to Cal?
It was a late Saturday night. It was on
Sit next to Peyton.
It was on FS1, which means I got to watch it from Philly, which was a bonus for me.
I was busy drinking. I wasn't watching.
And they're playing Rhode Island, who's not a bad squad. Makes the tournament pretty good.
Had a lot of fans. I mean, there was maybe the arena was half filled, but there were.
Sounds about right for November.
Yeah, there were probably 10%, 15% Rhode Island fans,
Yeah.
and I couldn't figure out until the starting lineups were announced.
They have a bunch of local guys.
Two of the starting five was from PG County.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. No, smart on them to come down here and recruit, man. What a fucking hotbed.
Yeah.
No, but
Yeah, I was just following my phone and talking shit to Jerry on text.
So as everybody, all of our Wings, Beers, and Tears loyal listeners know, Jerry is quick to jump off the wagon when it gets derailed.
Maryland's going to lose by 20.
He's not going to fix the wheel. He's going to throw the women and children out and go running away from the fiery wagon.
If I was on the Titanic, I'd be dressing up as a chick and trying to get on the lifeboat, man.
So in the first half, we're in the hotel. We're hanging out. We're drinking. We're having a good time. I look down at my phone. Jerry's like, Maryland sucks. Maryland's terrible. Fuck this. Fuck that. I was like, wow.
In fairness to me, during that time they did suck.
No, they obviously weren't great.
Well, they had Rhode Island had more players in the court, so
Yeah, right. So
Maybe that's why Peyton.
So it begs the question. So they were down 13 in the first half against a decent Rhode Island squad. Ended up winning by 18, and they were up by 21 at one point.
Yeah.
So it means they outscored them by 34. The delta was 34 at some point. How good is this team really going to be?
they still aren't shooting well.
I think they're a little bit overrated, honestly.
In terms of rankings, you might be right,
Yeah.
but in terms of quality of play and what their ceiling could be
Here's what I thought.
Kentucky lost to Evansville. I
Yeah,
mean,
that's crazy.
at Rupp.
Maryland's backcourt is solid. Cowan, he'll drive you crazy because he doesn't score.
Unless he's allowed. It was almost like in the first half, he wasn't allowed to score.
Well, he couldn't score.
Okay, fair enough. You were there.
Yeah.
I'll defer.
Right. I mean, he was trying. He's a
Right.
floor general.
He is.
But he's not much of a scorer, which is you expect more from him. However, Ayala and Morcell are solid.
Dude, how good is Ayala?
The world's
That-
first 40-year-old sophomore.
Right.
That's what everybody talks about. I like Morcell better because he comes in with some grit. I mean,
Dude, that guy's nasty.
He came in and within the first 30 seconds, he was in guys' faces and they had to be separated. And all that stuff.
Oh, I love the
right?
way he plays.
So he reminds me of Byron Mouton,
yeah,
like the
totally.
glue guy.
You know what he is? He's a guy that goes to Duke that we hate, that we finally got for us.
Right.
Like, who's just a son of a bitch. and
6 years, takes charges.
Yeah, exactly.
Sticks
He's
was-
a Baltimore boy, right? Morcell?
Yeah.
Yeah, Sticks was dominant. He
He's
was good.
great, isn't
he?
he?
He's
I mean,
he
he's-
is their best player.
Yeah, he's legit.
The Twins didn't really do much. I think one of them came in and got in foul trouble
I
pretty
still
quickly.
think they're raw.
Yeah.
They're very raw. Yeah.
Dante Scott's got some thickness on him.
Dude, that
I thought
boy-
he was. I thought he was going to be
He
really
is a
skinny.
Big MFer.
Dude,
He
that
has
boy.
got his ass is huge. I
That-
looked at his ass. I
I
was
like
like,
his
damn.
upside.
Russ Unseld action there.
I
Yeah.
like his upside.
So he actually now he didn't play a great game, but he was in there rebounding and battling.
See,
he
and,
works his
and that's
ass off.
kind of how I started this whole thing. Is this is the first time, in my opinion, that Turgeon has a highly touted team that's almost built of like yeoman-like workers.
They
He's
have a
got-
lot of length.
Yes,
Oh, yeah.
they've got size, they've got length, they've got the thing that worries me. And Jay just said it; they're not shooting well right now. Ayala can shoot. Cowan can shoot. Wiggins is a pure shooter. Sorrell Smith can shoot. Morcell
I didn't
can
see
shoot.
him. I didn't see him get much
So
game at
I,
all.
am using the word "can" because that insinuates potential. If they are not shooting, I mean, look, last year they had the inside track to the Sweet 16. They played LSU and they managed to shoot 25% in the first half.
And they lose a
And even though
heartbreaker
they
in the end.
came back and had a chance to win that game, that was their ultimate undoing. So it really comes down to, can you make baskets or can't you?
at the right time. And that's, Smith came in, in the first game, only played maybe 10, 12 minutes. But he was 2 for 3, I think, from long range. And now they had a good first half shooting. They actually were 5 for 10 from 3. Then they went 1 for 9 the rest of the game. So, they got to figure that out a little bit. But just the overall depth and, front court, back court, it's all there. If they can bring it together, wow.
And Chol Marial, he was standing at half court when I got there.
About 19 feet tall.
He is enormous, but he looks like he weighs 6 pounds, and he just looks like a guy who's chronically unhealthy.
Yes.
Because his body has maybe just not adapted to how it is grown.
Somebody put it up on Twitter. If you look at an old picture of Manute Bol,
Oh, yeah.
remember he had like that, like almost like sunken
Yeah.
structure. Cole Marial looks almost the same.
So,
Did
but
his head hit the scoreboard? Center court?
I heard maybe February when he gets cleared medically. Cheers.
Cheers.
Now, but I'm excited for the Terps because I think this is the best arsenal that Turge has. We have said this is kind of his, this is his litmus test for how good a coach he can be.
If they don't make it past the Sweet 16, sayonara.
Dude, they
man.
got to make a deep run, right?
Sayonara. They got so much talent.
They do.
Even if they don't shoot, they still have enough talent to be in games and win games.
So here's my little bold stat here or not stat, but prediction on the Terps. So the Big Ten is actually very deep this year. There's a lot of really good teams in the Big Ten. Maryland may not be the top 4 in the Big Ten tournament.
Well, fuck, they should be.
They should be, but
definitely
there's.
should be.
I think they should be, but there is a chance that they muddle through some games where Penn State's tough, Illinois is tough,
fuck
Michigan
that,
State's
dude.
obviously really good.
Michigan
Michigan's
State
good.
is really good.
Wisconsin's good. Ohio State's
Nobody
good.
else is
Indiana's good.
Nobody else is, other than Michigan State, nobody's got more talent than
They
Maryland.
should not be. So I'm doing a little bit Nats, reverse psychology here. If the Terps play really good ball and compete well, but end up falling short on a few of these games, that might be the best thing in the long run. I could be completely off base.
Yeah, fuck that win, man.
But what I'm saying is, if they go in with like a 22 and 11 record, I don't know how many fucking games they play, but let's just say 22 and 11, 22 and 12, we go, shit, they should have won 26 games. Well, yeah, but what if those 4 games are the first 4 games in the NCAA tournament?
Oh, but
You
fuck
know?
that, man. This is a 25-win team.
Yeah, but
I agree with
to
you.
your point,
They
though,
should.
If that happens, but we see some kind of progression, it shouldn't be the end of the world because they are young. I mean, because
And that's where I'm at.
I mean, Cowan's a senior, but Marcel's a junior.
Yeah,
everybody else.
but
is
Sticks
freshman,
is
sophomore.
gone. I mean,
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
they're
no. But I'm
gone.
saying, it's
No,
still
this
a
team is this
one-season
team for
deal.
1 year.
We're not
Without
talking-
question.
It's
Yep.
still a 1-season deal. But yeah, no. Let's say you're because how many conference games do they play now? Is it 20?
Yeah, 20.
So okay, so let's say I don't know how the schedule breaks down, but let's say you're only 5-5 after 10 conference games. Which would lead to more of that 22 and 11 record as opposed to a 25 and
Right,
7 or whatever.
because they're going to win about 5 or 6 shit games.
And then
Exactly. Yeah.
and then you end up 12 and 8, 5th seed, whatever. That's okay because then you showed progression. But that's the only way that I think that makes for a successful season because they should just be beating teams by 20 if they play well, 8 if they don't, and that's it.
I've seen enough of Turgeon to know that this is it. Fuck that, man. You're Maryland. This is not Maryland football. This is Maryland basketball. You should be a top 15 team.
bite your tongue.
every fucking year. I mean, come on, man. I mean, and
you're
this
right,
is
you're
this
right.
is his. He can recruit. He can get kids to
Yes, he
Maryland.
can.
It's not that hard, by the way. But can you fucking coach them to win?
Harder than fucking West Virginia.
Oh, absolutely, it's harder than West Virginia. I mean, you got to at least have one felony to go up there. No, but I mean, and if he doesn't do it, if he doesn't perform, then he's got to go. No more fucking excuses, man. No more.
I will give him this. He is a recruiting machine. He keeps a clean program, from what we can tell.
Yeah.
Hopefully, knock on wood.
Far as we know, good enough
Yeah,
for me.
exactly.
That's like saying a dad I give him this, he pays child support. That's what he's fucking supposed to
good
do.
call,
my
good call.
kids.
The bar is low.
Take care of my kids. That's what she's supposed to do.
The bar is low, but he is meeting the expectations of the low bar. I get it.
He pays his taxes.
No,
That's
but
silly.
he seems to be the right kind of fit, and I hope it's a little like what Trotz was able to do with the Caps when you were like, man, he's a good guy, he knows how to win, but can he get him over the hump?
I'm not the most reasonable person.
But it's got to be the right combination of shit that goes into that pot to make the right stew.
It seems to me that Turgeon's been here for 35 fucking years.
Feels like it, right? Feels like it. I must say, if he ever leaves, I'm going to lament not being able to watch the Turgeonites at the game. Those guys make me laugh every fucking time.
It just makes you appreciate Gary Williams. That guy always made it past the Sweet 16.
Was there a more tough son of a bitch coach, like in all of sports, than Gary Williams?
Without
Seriously,
a lot of,
think about it.
Sometimes without talent.
Oh yeah,
He's
knew-
always getting to the Sweet 16.
He knew he had shit talent, and he would just look across the way at Krzyzewski or Roy Williams or Skip Prosser, God rest his soul, or any of those guys, and just be like, "Yeah, you guys are more talented. We're fucking Maryland. We're coming."
But
We're coming to
Gary
June.
would not recruit Baltimore.
Nope. Nah, he loved that guy though. God, that guy was the man. In-game coaching, I don't
yes.
think modern
No.
day. I don't think anybody
No,
can hold a candle
nobody.
to Gary.
If you could combine the recruiting with Turgeon with Gary's on-court coaching, they'd be fucking Kentucky times.
Let's say UCLA back in the day would be what I'd be thinking.
Speaking of Kentucky, you're like adopted stepson Kentucky.
Yeah, I saw that, and I was
Fucking Calipari, man.
all I saw was a picture with his head in his hands. Like, what the fuck?
What are we doing? How are we losing?
But to be honest with you, that's a kind of law. I mean, you never want to. You'd rather get the coaching moment when you win by 5 instead of 50.
Of course.
But if that's not a kick in the ass of embarrassment, there's no motivator more than embarrassment and fear.
No question.
So,
no question.
But this is Kentucky, man. They start off slow, and then by the end, they'll probably be really fucking good.
Yeah, they probably will be. But hey, you know what? Go Terps. I am feeling optimistic because I think the parts are there. Even if the coaching staff doesn't 100% give them exactly what they need in terms of, game plans, in-game coaching or whatever, I just think they have enough pieces now that they can fill in.
They have moxie, grit, leadership, and talent. So that should be...
Completely agree. I was thinking about it watching that Rhode Island game because it was not pretty, right? And they win by 18. And they hold them to 55.
The second half was really pretty.
It really was. But I have a feeling this is the kind of team that can win a game 88 to 86, and they can win a game 51 to 49.
I agree with you.
And that those are the mark of the old Gary teams that we just talked about. How many of those Juan Dixon teams, Byron Mouton, Steve Blake, they went on the road at Wake on a Wednesday night, and they had to grind out a 63-61 awful win, but they could and they would. And then they would go on the road and they would beat Duke 98-94.
Or lose to Duke 94-90.
Right, exactly. But they were able to morph into whatever type of game came at them. And that gives me a lot of optimism. So, cheers to Turgeon. We're behind you. I think you're a great dude. Really hope you
just fucking win.
Just
dude.
win, bro.
I don't give a shit if you pay your taxes. Just win.
All right. Speaking of just winning, let's end this week's segment here on some college football talk. So,
are we not going to talk about the Nats?
Yeah, we can talk about the Nats.
Let's talk about this really quickly.
All right, let's throw in some baseball. This is our off-season baseball
Strasburg
talk.
Linked with the Yankees. I think that's a terrible fit for him with his personality. I don't think
he won't go there.
I don't think he wants.
And also delinked completely from his hometown Padres. They're not going to go after him.
That I am optimistic the way things are progressing because Rizzo says he's going to talk to Boris about Strasburg in the winter meeting. So
fucking Boris.
I think they got that. Yeah. Rendon.
Boris already starting the bullshit.
Yeah,
everybody's excited to talk. Yeah, well, probably not to you jackass.
Right. But the Dodgers...
he's the king of the slow play, by the way.
He's the king of something. He fucked over a couple of his guys last year, that's for sure.
The Dodgers are in Rendon, so that's disappointing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
they'll throw the cash for sure.
Yeah, I if I had to guess, it's looking good for Strasburg. It's looking bad for Rendon. I'd be surprised.
And that was your prediction, though. Yeah. You thought Strauss would stay, and you thought
so.
Rendon would go. And that very well may be true.
Can we talk about the Astros?
Let's do it.
So they apparently...
Fucking cheaters.
Yeah, they have apparently been...
that was Jeremy's gavel, by the way.
No, that was hitting the bat. That was the bat rack.
Yeah, that was the hitting the trash
can. Did you
can.
guys hear into that audio?
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
So apparently they had in the past couple of years have had a camera
at home. These are home games, right?
Camera in the outfield.
Not the same as Angels in the outfield. Go ahead, sorry.
Pitching or stealing the signs,
right?
And what they would do is they would have some member of the organization back in the tunnel, and when it was a breaking ball or curve ball or some sort of non-fastball, they would bang a thing, so you could hear the audio and some of the stuff where the batter's up there. The catcher makes a sign, and you hear, and then he doesn't swing.
Right.
And then when you don't hear it, it's a fastball. And, any major league hitter can hit a fucking fastball, right? So
tell me Joe Boo can't hit a curveball.
Tell me Joe Boo can't tell me Jesus Christ can't hit a curveball. So that's abhorrent. I mean, I'm all about stealing signs. If
stealing signs is legit cheating.
Yeah.
So when I heard this story, all I thought is in Jerry's voice, if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying.
Yeah, no, I have no problem with stealing signs. I have no problem on football if if an offensive tackle's leaning forward, it's a run play, or he's sitting back on his hunches, his pass play, telling everybody about it.
Right.
If I'm on first base and I know the signs, I'm going to the dugout and I'm saying this is what's happening and I'm doing all that. Where I have a problem with is using technology to do it.
Yeah. And that's where this is going to get tricky because a lot of people say, it'll just be a slap on the wrist, and it probably will be. But it was a couple years ago,
I don't
Boston
think so.
Yankees, they were doing their stuff with their Apple Watches and their iPads, and Manfred said, hey, that's it. No technology to,
well, that is just it. So I did actually do a little research on this, and the iPads that they have in the dugout are not actually linked to any real-time feeds. Everything is...
No, there has to be an 8-second delay.
That's back in the...
In the back,
Yeah, that's back in the back.
Right.
The actual iPads that they have on the benches are not linked to any live feeds at all. So they're Major League Baseball issued.
Right.
And they
Kinda
are
like the Surface and all that stuff.
Correct.
for NFL.
So they are literally for things that have happened in the past. So you can see your at bat from the third inning in the sixth inning.
or read your scouting reports or whatever. It might
Bingo.
be.
Or you can go, hey, Steven Strasburg pitched in May against the Mets and it was raining and he threw a bunch of curveballs because he couldn't get a grip on his fastball. You can look at all that shit. What you can't do is look at Zimmerman in the sixth inning while you're in the sixth inning.
It's like
You have
storage, no Wi-Fi or something like that.
Bingo. So with that being said, we can now vet exactly what technology is in a ballpark, and if there's evidence to show it, that's a big deal.
Yeah. Well,
It's a huge deal.
And apparently, go ahead, Jerry.
I think they are going to drop the hammer on him. And that means
So what does that mean,
Exactly.
though?
What do they do?
they're not going to vacate the championship. But I think what they're going to do is the fine for St. Louis 2 years ago for stealing some sort of data. Like I don't know if you remember, there was some
Yes.
employee,
Yes.
Yep.
right?
I do remember
He's
that.
banned for life, and they lost a couple draft picks, and they were fined $2 million. I think this will be double. I think it'll be at least a $5 million fine, and they may lose draft picks, crippling amount of draft picks.
Does a GM or a manager lose his job?
Depends on, I guess, who specifically was involved. I mean, think about this, though. We're entering Game 6 of the World Series. I heard somebody say on ESPN that A.J. Hinch was the best manager of all time. And he was amazing and all blah, blah, blah.
Nice hyperbole, asshole.
Since that time, he's lost the World Series with bad decisions, and now he's implicated in maybe one of the biggest scandals of all time. I mean, his star has fucking dropped. I think they're going to get at least $5 million, and I think there's going to be a crippling amount of draft picks.
Draft picks, to me, that's the only way you really make a statement. Because you said, even if you did vacate it, what does that mean? I mean, come on.
No. They're not
that's
going to.
pointless to do
They're
that.
not going to retroactively take away anything. What they do to punish them in the future, how punitive those punishments are, will really determine how serious the evidence of these allegations is.
And I don't know enough about baseball draft, but maybe
It's really long.
Yeah, but maybe I
They
don't
used to
know.
have unlimited rounds.
I don't know what would be punitive, but maybe it's cutting their salary cap, or maybe
But
some.
somebody else mentioned that, and the only problem is there really is. I mean, you got your luxury tax, but there is no
Right.
cap. It's
There's
not
no
like
cap.
it's not like
There's
they
no
screwed
cap.
the Skins a few years ago. When
I'll
they
just
cut them by
say
20 mil or
that
whatever.
the most egregious thing they can do is probably what they'll do. I think it'll be the biggest punishment in baseball history,
Huh? That's
other
a
than
bold
the
statement, Cotton.
other than the black
Black
sox.
Sox. Yeah, you can't go that
Bold
far, but-
strategy, Cotton. Let's see how it
Yeah,
works.
I say what
Usually, I pay extra for that.
like no first round picks for 5 years, 3 years,
3 years, something like
you
that,
or maybe
yeah.
no first and second. I don't know. That's how they built that team. I mean, that team is all high draft picks.
It is. It is.
They've had a bad fucking month.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Losing
No,
to
it's
the
been
Nats,
rough, man.
Getting outfoxed by Davey Martinez. I don't want to bring it up, Jeremy. Jerry and Davey Martinez outfoxing them, and then to have this,
Kaepernick's contributions, obviously. So
and then to have this scandal. I mean, fuck.
Yeah, it's rough.
AJ
Hey, you know
Hinch,
what?
you're the best ever.
But here we are in November as it's cold as shit and we're talking about baseball. Maybe they did this on purpose to get people talking about their game, Jerry. Did you ever think of that?
you need to
Don't
have-
try, Todd. You're not good at it.
You need to have something to get you through to your next Game 7 conspiracy, and this is where we are.
Now, I'm glad that I'm glad it sounds like these allegations are founded, and that they're going to do their
And
due diligence
there are
and figure
people
it
out there coming up with. I mean, this is not one game. There's hundreds of games now that they're coming up with.
Tim
Yeah.
Kirchin said he cringes when he thinks about where this is going to lead in the because the more they find, more they investigate, the more they're going to
See,
find
and that's
out.
a legit source right there. If he's cringeworthy on this,
Yeah.
I
I met him one time at the Blockbuster in the Kentlands. I was like, "No shit, Tim Kirchin." He's like, looked at me like I was some pedophile.
What's Blockbuster?
Yeah, exactly.
All right, so let's wrap up the week here with a little bit of college football talk.
Alabama wins the national championship.
So, first off,
They're not going to be in the playoff.
I'm calling it right now.
how great was that game?
Two is not
So
good, by the way.
often, LSU, Alabama, number 1 versus number 2, whatever it is. It can be
It's up 41-17. I was like,
it can be a complete dud. And I think it was I was watching ESPN the other day, and David Pollack made a great point. He said college football is so cyclical. We get these ideas of conferences in our head, and we go, the Big 12, all they do is score. SEC, all they do is play boring defense and whatever else. And he said a few years back, it was Alabama, LSU, and it was number 2 versus number 3, and the game was 9-6. We went, oh, these tough SEC teams going at it with all these defensive guys. He goes, here you had an SEC shootout for the ages that was awesome. And you had Baylor and TCU, I believe it was. Yeah. And it was 9-9.
It was like 9-9.
Going into overtime. And he's like, so bottom line is teams in college football figure out their personnel. It's cyclical. They figure out how to play. And right now the SEC has some explosive, high-flying teams. And it's fucking fun to watch because I still think it's not debatable. Talent-wise, the SEC is still just a level above everyone else.
it's not even close.
I mean,
my prediction is
except for West Virginia.
yeah, bad times of Morgantown. My prediction is LSU, Ohio State, Clemson, Alabama gets the 4 seed and they win the national championship.
what if? Is there any path for Notre Dame to get the 4th seed?
No, God, please no. Don't even mention that shit.
With all of my
They
heart,
are
I say
fucking
hopefully
terrible.
no. But is there a path?
Probably.
I think they have 2 losses.
And they'll lose by 50, and it'll be awesome.
They have 2 losses.
Do they have 2 losses?
Yeah, they have 2 losses.
Oh, all right. Well, fuck them. They're out of
Yeah,
it.
I don't think they have a shot.
Okay.
Because they got blown out by Michigan.
They
I
got
was
blown out by
trying to,
Michigan.
I
And
was
I
trying
think they
to
lost
think
one before
of
that. Yeah.
a
That's what
team
they're
that I
winning.
hate or loathe or that I think isn't worthy.
Well, I'm just tired of Notre Dame sneaking in as a 4 seed and,
No shit.
and not even
No,
competing.
it's awful. It's awful.
But it's going to be either Georgia or Alabama.
I think so
Because
too.
I don't think Baylor's going to beat Oklahoma. So and Oklahoma's
And not twice. They're playing twice, probably.
Yeah,
right?
but Oklahoma as a 1-loss team is not better than Alabama as a 1-loss team or Georgia.
Agreed.
Right? So that's done. I don't think the Pac-10 is going to squeak in. I get that Oregon's. I mean, it'd be kind of cool to see somebody out west finally. I think that'd be kind of cool.
It would be cool,
Someone
but
different.
Jeremy and I had this discussion. Oregon, Utah, are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah,
they're not even on the same planet as the teams we just discussed.
Although I always say that, then they come in and they compete for a while. But I don't think they're. I think they're going to. That conference is going to have 1 loss, and that's not going to be good enough.
So you know the team that like woke me up like nightmare style that could get in is Penn State still.
They're going to get smoked by Ohio State.
I hope so too. But let's just say for the
I'm
sake of
I'm
argument,
presuming that Ohio State is better than everybody in the Big Ten by at least 2 touchdowns.
I think so as
Well,
well.
I mean, you got to take into account that Chase Young getting suspended for Maryland and Rutgers.
yeah,
How
who
great
gives a
is
fuck?
that?
It's like
What
it's
a
like take a
sham.
free vacation.
What a
Major
fucking
impact.
sham.
Jesus.
You got to sit out 2 laughers, and then he's back for
Penn State.
Ohio, or Penn State and Michigan. Yeah. Oh, what a joke.
So let me tell you this: when it was always tanking for Tua, and you wanted that number 1 pick, now you don't need the number 1 pick because you got Tua and Burrow, and a team is going to trade up to get one of those.
God, how great is Burrow?
So fuck it. It's either Tua or Burrow.
Yeah, I mean,
I actually didn't think Burrow was that great a couple weeks ago. He was fucking brilliant this past Saturday.
I hope I'm wrong because I like the kid. I don't think Tua is anything in the NFL. So I want him nowhere near the Skins.
No, but the trade bait. Someone's going to trade up.
Yeah.
Someone's going to trade up and get him.
Yeah, true.
And then you still got Fromm and Herbert, and
I mean, if Herbert, you might. So wherever
See, Fromm and Burrow right now are like
they're kind of they've
I
kind of
would
taken over
love
Tua.
for the Skins to be able to trade down enough and still get Jerry Jeudy or a high and pick up a boatload of picks.
Yep.
That would
Somebody
be
super impactful.
Somebody who's going to trade two number 1s and 2 number 2s to get up to move up and get one of those quarterbacks. And now you're sitting there like, holy shit, now we're good,
because
just like that.
just like that.
because you got Judy out there. There's a tackle that it's
And then they'll draft some guard with their first pick.
sheriff's brother.
Yeah, some douche this guy's going to be the next guy. He's a fucking center.
I'm hoping they get Chase Young. He's already used to getting paid, so he'll be good here.
Yeah, good call. Good call.
Well, they want local kids.
Yeah. Yeah.
The kid's a monster.
Yeah, we
though.
can
Dude,
go-
he's
you
so
can go to
good.
both
He's
sides.
a fucking
shit,
monster.
He's good, man.
You put him in Sweat.
Yes.
I mean, that's how you build a team.
With Greg Minuski at D coordinator.
Not a fucking chance. That guy knows less about defense than I do.
Yeah, I would vote for Jerry over Minuski any day as that coach.
Yeah, cheers to that.
I'd be like, hey, what's cover 2?
At least he can coach the interior line.
Yeah. You guys want to line up in 2s or 3s?
Now, so the college football stretch run here is going to be pretty fun to watch. So real quick before we sign off for the week, the college football championship went from 2 to 4, and that format has proven to be lucrative and much more. It allows more teams to be in play towards the end of the year, right? It allows one-loss teams to still be relevant and possibly get into the top 4 and make some noise. At what point do we go from 4 to 8?
I don't think you need to.
I see, and that's where I'm at too. I said it more as a rhetorical question, but so we're sitting here with top 4 having a chance at the national title, and whoever's 5 or 6 is going to cry and well, we should have been in there. Well, if you go to 8, then 9 and 10 are going to do the same fucking thing.
Absolutely.
So, the college football selection committee and everything else gets a lot of flack for how they rate the top 4, how they put them in. It really means nothing right now because the next 4 weeks are going to determine who really the top 4 teams are.
Absolutely.
Because the big dogs get to play the big dogs, and then you have your conference championship games, and whoever's on top with 1 loss or no losses will be in the top 4.
I mean, other than Clemson, who plays in the worst conference, I mean, they might as well play a Division III conference.
Would they have a tougher time against JMU than they will against Wake?
It's the ACC is just pitiful.
It's really bad.
Pitiful. There's not one team in there that's worth a shit except for Clemson. That's it.
Wait, wasn't Syracuse ranked not long ago?
Yeah, remember that? That seems like a fucking 3 seasons ago.
Like a lifetime ago.
Well, wasn't that Clemson's last conference loss? Syracuse a couple years ago.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. No, but I'm excited to see how the college football picture kind of takes shape here because even the teams that aren't in the top 4, there's going to be some really good bowl games. Because I think last year there were complete shit bowl games.
Nobody's playing in the bowls anymore, man.
I know, man.
These kids, they're going
the kids are gone. If they know they're going to the NFL Combine, they're like, peace. Why would I tear my ACL?
For the Peach Bowl.
Correct. Or the Cotton Bowl when it's going to be 40 degrees and icy.
Well, I'd play for them, the Poulan Weed Eater Independence Bowl. I would play. I would.
The Poulan Weed Independence Bowl.
Weed Eater
Independence Bowl. That's in Shreveport, right?
Yeah. Go Maryland, Louisiana Tech. About 30 years ago.
So I'm really looking forward to how the football is going to play out over the next few weeks. The Caps are rolling, and they've got a ton of games, and it's going to be exciting. The holidays are upon us, and I really think we should do an eggnog podcast where we just
Are we going to do a podcast on the cruise?
I think we should try.
I mean, it's worth talking about, right? Hey, if you're listening out there, drop us a line.
Drop us a line. Tell us if you want to do it.
We're going on a pretty epic vacation in a couple weeks, and if we're on the cruise ship and we're chilling in the Bahamas, and you'd like to hear our drunken, stance.
You think we're bad now?
Exactly.
Mitch or Michelle may have even suggested doing it on Coco Cay.
That would be fantastic.
Is that like a sexual position? I have no idea.
That would be the
as
island.
Far as you know,
that would be the island in the middle of the Caribbean. But I'm sure the audio is going to be even worse than it is now. But,
right.
Who cares? So hey, thank you guys for hanging with us for this week, and a lot of shit to talk about again next week. I can't wait for next week.
Yep. Come on, Tommy, knock Marchand out, dude.
Let's go, boys. So until next week, this is Todd and Jeremy and Jerry saying thank you for listening. Another DMV Wings, Beers, and Tears podcast is upon us in no time. Join us next week, and peace.
Peace.
See ya.